Added a little bit of honey this time to my coffee, so it has a nice little kick to it. So, always a lot to talk about, right? But I'm going to focus today on the word constitutional crisis. Now, I did do another, podcast on this a couple of days ago regarding this issue, and it's all based on a tweet from J.D. Vance saying that the courts cannot stop the executive branch from doing anything, which means we don't have a system of checks and balances. But tough guy J.D. Vance was on a podcast not too long ago before all this before Trump went into office, and he quoted Andrew Jackson saying, "Now your judge issued its order. Now he can come and enforce it." Okay, the tough guy. They all act like tough guys. It's beyond ridiculous. Some of these guys are 80 and they're acting like they're tough. But anyway, the constitutional crisis is an issue. Now, it's an issue because simply, what if they stop ignoring the courts? Now, of course, they're going to listen to the courts when it's to their favor and then ignore them when it's not. So they're picking and choosing. That is what kings do. That is a monarchy. But besides that, what can be done? The reality is the courts have to put their foot down. We saw President Trump get away with everything when it came to all his cases. Judge Eileen Wuornos, no, Judge Eileen Cannon. That actually, I was actually going to say not do that, but it came out naturally this time around. Yeah, she's a joke. She shouldn't be a judge, and she should be disbarred as far as I'm concerned. Her rulings are ridiculous and absurd. But they don't have a problem with her having a lifetime appointment, do they? And they sure as hell don't have a problem with her rulings, right? Why didn't they ignore her rulings? Oh yeah, we know why. But besides that, the reality is judges can hold you in contempt, right? They have that power. They have the power to issue a rule to show cause where you come before the court and you basically explain yourself. Now, we've all been there as lawyers. A lot of times for lawyers, it's something innocent, something was skipped or missed. It's not a big deal. Court does nothing about it. They just want to know what happened. But what happens in this scenario? See, for me, this is simple. First place, like that ridiculous argument about birthright citizenship and an executive order, getting rid of that, even though it's written to the Constitution. That attorney who filed, that ridiculous case. I know they work for the Department of Justice or for the White House counsel, whatever division they're in, but it's your name on that piece of paper at the end of the day. And if the state bar comes after someone, they're not going to say, well, your boss, we're going to go after your boss. No, you're the one who submitted it. We all have an obligation as lawyers to ethically not file garbage lawsuits. The judge let them get away with it so far. I understand they're giving them a chance to make an opportunity. But realistically, if I filed that, I would have been dismissed, laughed out of the courtroom, and make sure to pay a fine on the way out. So that's my question. That's actually my answer. That's all they have to do. They say, tell me why I should not hold you in contempt. You'll see prosecutors starting to say, I'm not filing that, or they'll go get another job. And that's fine. Let a flunky move in, because then that flunky is going to have to face that. But now, how do we deal this with court orders and the judges issuing an order and the court saying, you got to do this, and the executive order has been overruled, it's unconstitutional, now what? Well, here's the answer. When something happens at the trial court level, right? From there, that Department of Justice lawyer is going to let somebody know, right? Even though today it's all internet and they can just log into the pacer.gov system and find out how the case was ruled. The judge simply has to ask, I ruled this way. We're here now on a rule to show cause. Why shouldn't I hold you in contempt? And then give them a no. Did you tell your superior, whoever that is, Bob? Yes, I did. Okay. You told Bob, yes, and you can confirm that and you're on the record. Yes. Okay, then tomorrow we have a rule to show cause for Bob. Now, notice I said tomorrow, not next week, not next month. Every lawyer I knew when I was practicing law, myself included, had a suit somewhere in the office for a just in case scenario. Why? Because sometimes, it's Thursday or Friday, you're like, oh, I don't have court. I'm going in jeans. I'm dressing like a bum. I'm tired. And so you would go dressed, dressed down, casual, whatever day. And then you get a call that says you have to be in court in an hour. That happens. Ask any lawyer. Could have been a case where the judge came across and now it's an emergency or they filed an emergency motion. I've had plenty of times the judges say, be here by 3 o'clock today. Your hearing is today. And you're like, Judge, nope, clear out your schedule. Make sure you do it. It's the way it is in this business, right? So, likewise, they can do the same thing now. They can tell them hearings tomorrow. Now, Bob shows up. Bob, did you tell your superiors? Yes, I did. What's his name or her name? Let's bring her in tomorrow to eventually someone, the last person, the buck stops here. That's the person that's going to be held in contempt. And when I mean contempt, I'm not talking a fine. We saw that a lot. I think Judge Trump's lawyer, Alina Habba, was hit with a pretty substantial fine, but they don't pay those fines. It was the supporters that sent out an email, however they do it. They dig into their coffers. So if I'm not paying the fine, what do I care about? It doesn't hurt me in any way. I'm talking about that person pays the fine and they provide proof to the court that it came out of their pocket. Someone wants to go reimburse them later with cash, that's between them, but it came out of their pocket. And by the way, if the money issue isn't working, let's say it's a small fine and like, whatever, it's no big deal. You know what will work? Jail. Judges do have that right. It's a little extreme, right? All right, that's fine. Let me back up. How about a bar complaint? Tag this person with a bar complaint. You will see that they will stop doing this and stop playing this game. Also, on the judiciary is optional. A lot of judges sometimes have a sign in their courtroom that says court orders are not optional. And this is the time for the courts to start proving that their orders are not optional and that they are the last line of defense that we have at this point against a monarchy. So I hope the courts do what they're supposed to do, not see any more of that Judge Cannon nonsense, entertaining absurd, ridiculous motions. When you file an absurd, ridiculous motions, judges nail you to the wall. You're lucky if you don't walk out of there without a fine. All right. And if you're continuing to do something ridiculous like that to delay, then they should come in with harder sanctions, if not bar complaints. That's just the way it is done. And I hope we see it this way because that's the way it's done in the real world and not give exceptions to the Department of Justice filing every gibberish garbage motion they can think of to delay things and all of a sudden start ignoring court orders. It has to stop now. And I hope the courts take that step. And if not, what happens like always? It falls upon us, the people, to move forward and do something about it, which means protesting, getting organized, and everything else. And that's something we should be doing anyway. But let's be clear. The courts have to show the power that they have. Start holding people in contempt and forget contempt. If that ain't working, go straight to the bar. File a bar complaint. That'll take care of it. And that's how you stop a constitutional crisis. Rough mornings. Enjoy your coffee. I'm going to try to enjoy mine now. Take care, everybody.